In this episode number 99 of the Encourage and Inspire podcast, we're joined today and we're going to dive into the world of email marketing with my guy Cole Van D. If you've ever wondered how to transform your email list from a dusty contact database into a powerful revenue generating machine, this episode is your golden ticket. Cole isn't just another marketing guru, he's a strategic mastermind who's helped countless entrepreneurs and creators unlock the true potential of their digital communication. We're going to unpack his strategies and give you practical, actionable insights that you can implement immediately. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, this conversation will shift your entire perspective on email marketing. Get ready to take notes, get inspired, and prepare for a serious business transformation. And I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome to another episode. This is episode number 99 of the Encourage and Inspire podcast. And I have a special guest, a friend of mine, new friend of mine, who is an expert in email marketing, um, which is cool. My man Cole Van D. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, bro. I'm doing great. I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, it's all good, man. Like we just saying before we started recording that every once in a while I'll get emails from my podcast owner of the network that people will reach out to me wanting to be a guest on my podcast. They've heard my podcast. And usually, because I usually cover disability awareness or music business topics, and usually every once in a while, the people who reach out to me is usually never about music business or anything that I'm doing. So it's always a cool opportunity to do something that's not in my wheelhouse per se, man. And
Sure.
I
Yeah.
would personally, so I think it's really cool, man. So yeah, man. So tell me a little bit about yourself, man, and then we'll kind of start going, man. Just wherever you want to
Yeah.
start.
Yeah, for sure. I grew up in the Midwest. I'm originally from the Quad Cities, so Illinois,
Okay.
Iowa area there.
Hey,
And
I'm a Cub fan. Yeah,
okay, there you
yeah,
go. There you
yeah.
go.
It's just and people say, well, how are you born in New York City, raised in Orlando, Florida, and you for the Chicago Cubs? I said it's really, really easy because in Orlando back in the mid '90s, you had WGN and you
Hmm.
had TBS. So really,
Right.
there's only because you weren't getting Marlins games up here in Central Florida. So you really only had three choices. It's going to be the Cubs, the Sox, or the Braves. And
Yeah.
Sammy Sosa happened to be playing for the Cubs at that time. It's okay. I became a Cub fan, and that's
Yeah.
really and it's just been that way ever since 1997.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I love going to. I used to go to Cubs
And
games
I've never been
during
to
the
Wrigley.
summer.
I've been to
Oh
Chicago a
man.
couple of times, but I've never been to Wrigley.
Oh
So it's on my
man.
bucket list to go, especially during the summertime because Chicago,
Yeah.
like September, October, it's too cold.
Oh yeah, yeah. Chicago don't play when it comes to weather. It gets cold. It gets snowy.
Yeah,
It gets rough, man. Yeah.
cool, cool, cool,
So yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So you
I
from
grew up in the Midwest and uh, started charting my life out there. Wasn't very successful. This is the normal Midwest stuff, right? Like, didn't grow up, super poor. Did not grow up with extra. We had
okay,
food on the table, clothes on our backs,
same,
house
same,
over our head. Like the normal stuff,
yeah,
uh, that was great. But for me, like, I just wanted more, and so for me, like, ended up getting into sales. I ended up knowing some people in the music business, not really thinking anything of it. I had a kid I was in summer school with during high school, went on and he actually helped produce the Finally Rich album for Chief Keef
okay,
back in the day. So that was like he would just be in the back with his headphones and his MacBook, just making beats. I had no idea.
yeah,
Um, and so, I had some friends that did music and dabbled in music, but it wasn't anything for me. Like I wasn't musically talented. I
right,
didn't really have a desire of music or anything like that. So I did the next thing, which was I'll just make money by doing sales. So started a sales career, moved to California, and throughout this process is how I ended up. kind of dabbling in the music business for a little bit, and I still have lots of friends that are producers and engineers, managers, A&R guys,
Yeah,
and everything else. And I even started like writing and recording my own music just because
okay,
it's a great way to express yourself and
definitely. Yeah,
um, to have fun, you know. So,
absolutely.
so yeah, I run an email marketing agency now, but over the years, I've helped launch a couple careers for some artists. I've helped A&R some music. I've helped, you know, really blow up a couple artists on their Spotify listeners and all that fun stuff just through my knowledge of sales and marketing and networking and all that fun stuff. So,
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. Because the part of being an artist today is not about how talented you are.
right.
It has really nothing to do with how talented you are. Like the artists who are serious have to understand sales and marketing approach because most of the time, most creatives they just like to they
Mhm.
don't necessarily like to do not so fun stuff, but that's required, right? And today, more than anything, it's really about gathering data.
Absolutely.
I think data is most important because data now allows you to make different decisions when it
Absolutely.
comes to your career, right? And we'll factor in email marketing a bit. But I was telling somebody earlier today, I said if you know that majority of your audience is in a particular region of the world, why are you doing shows in another region where people don't really care about you? You know what I'm saying?
1000%.
You know what I'm saying?
1000%. Yeah, I mean, I mean, this will be super helpful for any artists that are listening. And this doesn't work as aggressively as it did back in 2018 and
Yeah.
2019 when I was running the strategy. But
Hmm.
I'd go into Spotify and I'd figure out where the top 10 countries are where my artist was being listened to the most. Because you can get
Hmm.
that access right there in that
For sure.
panel, right?
Sure.
And then I would just run, I would find European countries and other countries outside of the States.
Right.
And I would spend $5 a day on a video ad with their song, and I would link them into Spotify.
Mm.
And so it'd just be an ad that pushes them over to listen to their music on Spotify.
Gotcha.
And through that process, I took my artist Torian. We were at like 3,000 monthly listeners. By the time we were done running through over about 18 months, 24 months, we got him up to about 300,000 listeners on Spotify just from spending $5 a day on ads.
Yeah. It's sometimes it's that it could be that simple, but again, it takes patience. And I tell
Oh,
artists all the time
absolutely.
too.
Yeah.
Also, if you're just starting out, I don't necessarily recommend doing ads right away
Oh, I agree. I
because
agree.
because you have to like anything, you run ads. And I recently started doing ads for what I do, right, with artists, right. So I like to call myself a music business consultant, and because I'm also an artist manager as well, but I'm for me, artist management is like family. So
Right.
I'm very, very particular on who I get behind in the management side. So I do a lot of consulting, advisory, coaching. But one of the things that I do is one of my lead generation systems is a process that I created called the Music Exposure Campaign. So even though I'm a coach, and ideally I want to bring you on for you to get me on a retainer so I can coach and advise and things like that. I also understand how artists
Sure.
think. Right? If my 6 month retainer is $3,000, which is really, really fair, right?
Yeah, that's a
Really,
good deal.
really, really fair, right? But I understand how artists think. Oh, $3,000 versus okay, but if you could help me get it on, if you can help me push my song to digital radio and pay $500 for one time and come into my world, that's a little bit of an easier sell than say,
Yeah.
come in and jump on my team for 3 grand for 6 months. So the music is so what I do is I run an ad on that, and most of the time you get pretty trash music, unfortunately, because nowadays anybody their mama is an artist now.
Right.
So you get a lot of bad stuff. Every once in a while you get some good stuff. You just get a lot of
Yeah.
because the development is gone, and unfortunately music has become a hustle more than a
Mhm.
craft, and that's where you see a lot of the trash stuff. But I do it because this is what I love to do. I love to help people. But I love, yeah,
Yeah.
but go back to what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't necessarily think say you should run ads right
Oh
away
yeah.
because
Oh, I agree.
if you don't know your messaging and what it is that you're
No.
trying to do, like so another one of the things I teach under my educational framework is called the genesis of superfan building, right? So if you break that down, that means the beginning of building superfan. So there's a process to it. You just can't start away saying, okay, I want to get 1,000 fans. I want to get, people to spend money with me right on. It doesn't work like that. This is art. This is emotion. You know what I'm saying? So but I love the fact that you focus on email marketing because I think
Yeah.
it's something that and obviously you have text marketing as well too.
Yeah.
I think text can be a little bit stronger at times than email, but because text marketing is still kind of a relatively new concept still for a lot of people. Email marketing feels a lot more safer for a lot.
Yeah. No, for sure. I was just had a call the other day with a buddy of mine. He's a producer. He's produced for like Mike Stud and Nick D, these
Yeah,
guys, right? And he has a couple
I know who Nick
placements,
D.
right?
Yeah, I know who Nick D.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he's got a couple placements, but he's not like killing it. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have any platinum records. He doesn't have like the big checks coming in, and so he sells beats just like most producers do.
Yeah, yeah,
And so we had that call on like, what could you be doing? You're getting all these email addresses. Like, how can you think more of like a business instead of just like you're just hoping people end up buying stuff from you? And we're able to map out kind of like a small journey of like helping guide people from a free beat all the way to a licensed beat or a custom beat or a
yeah,
pack
yeah.
through that process.
I think that's
So it's
I think no, yeah, because I think that's the new era of music producers. It's like because placing the but the money's different now. And, you're not making
absolutely it is.
30
Yeah.
years ago, 30 years ago for an album cut, you were getting you could get on a major artist on an album cut, not even a single, you could get 25 grand, you could get 25,000 for not even a
Yeah.
single. I mean Timberland's base rate back in the 250 grand
Yeah.
just before he even does anything to get him in the
Yeah.
room is but they those guys don't even make the type of money. They don't
Yeah.
even everybody they all kind of had to reinvent themselves,
Absolutely. Yeah.
in order to stay because the money's just different now. It's not to say no, get me wrong, guys are still making money, but it's not. I mean, back in the 90s, early 2000s, they were like throwing like it was just stupid money. You know what I'm saying? So I totally get what you're saying. You have to. It's about selling pack. The artist, the producer now has to become the brand of has to think like an artist. The producer now has to think like an artist more than
Absolutely.
just produce. Which is where what product can I sell? The beat packs, the different things like that. I love that you don't have to be a big name to sell. If your beat pack is sell, people are purchase it. If you're branding yourself properly online, and in case if I'm a producer, right, I want to be looking at at other producers, right, or other people who are coming up, and if you have good brand yourself properly, you know, cats that buy into that, they will support you, and then those people become your super fans, other producers, and they'll start to buy product.
Absolutely.
So cool.
Absolutely, man. That's
Yeah,
awesome,
man.
man.
Tell me about your marketing agency and kind of what you're doing with that in terms of like,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh, no, before we do that, man, talk to me about the power of email marketing. You
I
know what I'm
mean,
saying? Like, breaks it's like what made you want to start the agency, the copy
yeah,
agency?
I mean that's a great question. I mean, for me, again, like I said, I was in sales, and I hated it. I was working for someone else. It's long hours, it's long days, it's miserable. Made good money, but man, like I just felt dead inside. And so I started a bunch of different companies, realized I was good at marketing. And so I used to like write all the ads and write all the scripts for the videos, and I did well doing that. But it was like so many different things, and I wanted to like kind of productize and like really make it easier for me to sell and be like the expert at one thing. And so I moved over and just did email, and I've been doing that now for about 4 years, 5 years, just solely email. And I've been focusing on that. And it's for me, the people and the companies that I work with, I'm able to add tons of money to the, I mean, I had a client, I was adding an extra $1 million a month in revenue just to their company from email and nothing else, no ads, no nothing, just literally just email, sending emails to their email list. And so it's like one of the highest leverage pieces in a business that you can go into. If you do it correctly, you can make a lot of money out of it. Obviously, if you don't have a big email list and you don't have like a great offer or product to sell, then you're not going to make $1 million a month from your email list. That's
Yeah,
not realistic. But
right.
it's for me, it's something that most people think is dead, and not many people want to specialize in it. And most people don't do a very good job at it. So the bar is really low. And then there's less competition, and then it makes so much money that I can charge a lot of money. So it's like a perfect recipe of uh like things that came together where I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I'm just gonna double down and just do this. And so that's kind of why.
Yeah, I mean, and me personally, I mean, I do the value thing, but I haven't, even though I know how valuable it is, especially for artists, I myself haven't probably spent much time focusing. So there's a platform that I used to use, I still have it, called Super. I don't know if you've heard of it, Ryan Leslie.
I have not, but I'll have to check it
So
out.
Superphone is it's basically a text-based platform
Okay.
that allows, basically says your phone number is your most powerful social handle you have, right? So
Hmm.
problem with our regular cell phone number is that it's not smart enough to know exactly when somebody texts you, like how did you beat that person, how to
Oh,
use that
okay.
person. Basically, there's a portion in there called never lose touch. So let's say you have, I don't know, you have 5,000 people text list, and you haven't talked to somebody in 6 months, right? You can set it up to where, like, okay, you can set it up where it's automated, where like, hey, just checking in on you, hope you're doing okay. Because again, it's about that relationship, right? So people feel connected to you. If somebody buys a product, if I mean, it's like Beyonce. If you go to Beyonce's concert, you buy a ticket, then she calls and texts, okay, herself, say, hey, thank you. I mean, that's going to make, even though she already has rabid fans already,
Hmm.
that's going to make people become even more dominant about Beyonce. Just personally call and had a conversation with me, even if it's 5 minutes. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So I was doing that for a while. I still have the platform, and what I was doing was I would drive people to that platform out from the DMs to the platform. What I'm realizing is you convert quicker, especially on DMs, by keeping them inside the DM
Absolutely, yeah.
before you try to take them off of the platform and then try to convert them on a different platform. That's why I've just been mainly doing it in the DM, kind of using the follow up process in the DMs versus just say, hey, join my super phone and get my number. And then the cool thing about super phone I'm even now driving people to another platform for average fan music, which is a lot more easy. It's catered more to building fan because, like I was saying earlier, data is another thing, right? So if you have all that in one central location, right, and you now can tell people where they can find you, and you have all the information from their phone number to their email to their birthday, where they're at. You can geo target them, all kinds of things you can do, right? So, but but email marketing is something that I know the power of it. I haven't personally used it as much as I probably should. But it definitely still works. Still don't say
Oh, absolutely it does, yeah.
it definitely works.
Yeah, I mean, think about all the times like, everyone earlier this year was so afraid of the TikTok ban, right? Where
Yeah,
TikTok was going to get shut down. There's
right.
artists that their entire career is based off of that platform being there.
Yeah,
So that platform goes down, they have to start fresh on a new platform,
exactly.
or
Right, right.
Instagram starts regulating stuff, or the algorithm changes, or they shut it down, or they don't let music artists on it. Like, there's so many things that are out of your control
Yeah,
with social media these days that we just literally take for granted. Like, you remember the day just like I do, like before Facebook and
yeah,
before Instagram
yeah,
like
yeah,
you used
yeah.
to have to pick up a phone, and sometimes you would have to wait for like I used to remember my mom kicking me off the computer so she could use the house
Oh
phone.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Dial-up
so like
apps.
that's how business used to get done. You used to have to literally like you could either be on the computer or the phone, you pick one of them, and then you make contact with somebody. And I used to ride around the neighborhood on my bike, and the only reason I knew where anybody was because all the bikes were outside their house. You know what I
Right,
mean? And so we take for granted that like social media is just going to be there and it's not going to change, and that there's not going to be some new platform, or these platforms aren't going to change, or the government's going to step in and start regulating things. Like there's so much that is out of your control as an artist.
yeah.
And like unfortunately, like you're not Jack Harlow, you're not
Right,
Drake,
right,
you're
right,
not
right.
like you're not these people that can just go spin up a new account anywhere in the
The
world
world.
and just show up to a
Right.
random location and everyone flocks, right?
Right,
Like
right, right, right.
and so email just gives you another access point to your people. Text message gives you another access to these people.
Yeah,
Having your own like monthly subscription platform, like
yeah,
I think Grouped or Circle or whatever, like or
yeah,
School. Like there's these other platforms. Like how many different ways can you connect with your people and your fans? And that's what the biggest guys in the world today, like they connected with their fans early on, and they really like they'd show up to a 20-person show and then they'd hang out after the show and they'd connect with these people,
yeah.
and they'd go kick it at an after party with them or do whatever. Like,
And that's so true, bro. I mean, people aren't. You know where a lot of artists I think drop the ball is they want to be on the biggest stages. And to me, real flexes, small shows, those intimate
absolutely,
small shows. So there's only 50 people in the room, but that's where you
100%,
build your core. That's where you
absolutely,
build, and that's a lot of what I'm about. It's about core audience, right? So
100%.
a lot of that is where you build your core because that's where people feel like they can connect to, feel like they can touch you, they can have a conversation. And
Absolutely,
so many artists want to be on. Most artists want to be on the biggest stage that they're not really ready. And
100%.
you know,
Yeah.
so
100% because it looks cool. It,
yeah,
it looks way cooler to play Coachella
yeah,
or Rolling
yeah,
Loud or whatever than it does to play a 50 cap.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
through my networking stuff out here in LA, I ended up becoming somewhat good friends with Coda, the Friends manager, early
yeah.
on.
Okay.
And Coda used to he had this promoter in LA, Sean Healy Presents.
Now
And this is
I know what
yeah,
it is.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And so Kodo would go and go, hey, like I'll take a spot on one of your shows, and then he'd go out and sell 25, 50 tickets.
yeah,
And he just did this every week, like clockwork, to the point where he'd go and he'd sell the whole show out by himself. So he'd fill 100-person room, 150-person room. And that's the process that you like if you want to sell out a stadium, you got to be able to sell out a 50-person room. You
yeah,
don't just go
yeah.
from nothing to there.
Exactly,
Like
exactly.
G-Eazy's done it,
Yeah,
MGK, Kendrick, La Russell started in his
yeah, yeah.
backyard.
And he
Like
still
you
does
can
it.
pick any artist in history, they started out in a 50-person room.
Bro,
Like
bro.
that's just the
Right,
reality
right.
of it.
And the truth is, bro, like there's artists that can make a lot, make a nice living doing those small moves. But
100%.
because and the key is, as an artist, you gotta know what you're good at, gotta know what you're not.
Yeah,
Everybody's good. Not everybody makes an arena style show, but he wants to do that. If you do the 100-person intimate show where people really connect, sell your merch, sell your VIP experiences, and it's a win-win for everybody. But
absolutely.
I think it's just a ego thing for some people. If they don't achieve, it's like if they don't win a Grammy somehow, their career is meaningless. So I'm like, that's crazy to me. Grammy is so political and so much politics involved, and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's when you look at the music industry, and I call it I'm talking about the music industry, not the
Yeah.
music business,
No,
like where
no.
you make money. The industry,
Yo,
you get it.
I love how you different because it's two different things.
Two different
It's
things.
two different things. Most
Two
people,
different.
most people chase the music industry,
Right, right, right.
but they don't really know anything about the music business. Because you
Yeah,
don't need to be a huge name. If you understand the music business, you've got to be a huge name. You
absolutely.
don't.
If just the math makes sense, right? If you sell out a 50-person show 3 times a week at $10 a ticket, and then
Yeah.
you make $100 in merch sales, you're making like 80 grand a year doing what you love, working 3 days a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's amazing. You're
But
making more than most people do in America,
yeah.
making music, performing, meeting fans, selling hoodies and
And
t-shirts.
you're not, and you don't have someone on the radio, you don't have none of that.
None of
You're
it.
just touching, and it's like, and if you just touching the people, at the end of the day, the people's what matter. It's always been about the people. People,
Mhm.
take record deals. It's always been about them. It's
Absolutely.
always been about how you connecting the people to get them to show up in that seat,
Hmm.
right? To go buy a ticket, go sell a hard ticket. A lot of people on IG, on Instagram, social media, they have a bunch of followers. They
Hmm.
cannot sell a
I can't
hard
sell
ticket. They
tickets.
can't sell a
Yeah.
hard ticket to save their life. Their
Nope.
life to they
I
can they
yeah. They got I trust me, I've tried to put these deals together with these influence, they got 500,000 followers on TikTok. I'm like, cool, man, like help us sell some tickets. We'll give you 100% of ticket sales that you sell. They
right.
sell like 3 tickets. I'm like, man, you don't have a fan base. You
You
just
don't
got
right.
people that like you on Instagram and
Yeah.
TikTok.
It's
That's
real
different.
yeah, it's real it's different, man. It's different. Like
Yeah.
if the people can when you can actually push product, it's a different type of deal. And it takes a while to do that. Again, I think people
Yeah.
want this thing to happen fast. I say music is like a really slow ass burn. The
It's
slow it's a
Yeah, most people catch like their favorite artist today or
yeah,
at any point in time, they
yeah,
catch them after all of the 50 cap rooms. They catch them after like all these things, you know what I mean?
right,
And so they don't see that, but like you can pick literally any artist, any of them, doesn't matter who, and you can find the time where they were in a closet making music,
right,
and you can find a time where they went to go out on a stage and perform,
right,
and there's 3 people in the audience.
right.
Like that content exists out there somewhere. You just have to dig it up and
Right.
find it.
And they gave the key is they gave the same great show to 10 people
Absolutely.
in the room. See, that's
Yeah.
another key. They gave, but can you give me the same show that with 10 people in the room as if the stage was Coachella? Right?
100%.
And now again, it
100%.
goes back to mentality and mindset, right? Because like I said,
Yeah.
most people aren't ready for the success that they desire
Absolutely.
because you start to see people at their apex, right?
Mhm.
You're not see versus seeing them when they were building, when they were building and investing into themselves. But fortunately, if you're going to be a professional creative, you have to understand that you're going to invest more, and you're not always going to
Yeah.
see the return right away. It's just part of the game. You got to
And
understand
and
that.
you may never see it.
Yeah,
You may never
yeah,
that's the part where like detaching from that result altogether, like like how good of a show can I put on with the budget I got today?
yeah,
Like how many fans can I connect with one on one today? Like how good can I get as part of this process? And it's so hard because a lot of people get into the music business for the music industry.
yeah,
They get into it to be famous. They get into it so they can, it sounds cool. I
yeah,
have friends that are multi-million. They make more money than every artist that there is, right?
yeah.
They're super successful. And they're like, man, it'd be cool to sell out a stadium and do a show. I'm like, you can't rap. You don't know how to do music. Like,
Right,
but
right,
to
right,
them, it just sounds cool, right? It
right.
sounds glamorous. And we see so many documentaries too, like Justin Bieber's documentary.
Right.
Drake's talked about it. Logic has talked heavily about this, but
Yeah.
like, it's lonely too,
Yeah. It
like
is.
because you now you're not relating to nobody, like
Right.
even your close friends that have been with you since day one don't get it,
They have no idea.
and
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So a lot of people, it's mental. And that's why I say like that's why I say fame is something that is fleeting. I think people, and I don't think it's human beings naturally built to do. Right. So or because people think now celebrity means something, and the thing is we're seeing, and we saw this with the election. No matter which way you lean, right, politically, we saw that the power of celebrity, at least in my opinion, people don't disagree with me, but I feel like being a famous celebrity doesn't mean what it used to. in my personal opinion. I don't know how you
Yeah,
feel
it's
about it.
different.
Yeah,
There's so many famous celebrities. There's so many celebrities that I don't even know who they are, but like a million people will show up to their meet and greet. I don't know who those people are.
yeah,
And I think like I don't know, me like I like in my industry, like years ago in my industry, I was like people would be coming up to me and wanting autographs, pictures, they want me to sign my book that I wrote, all that fun stuff. And like it's cool like in the room, but like I really love leaving that room and nobody knows who I am because then I'm not worried about if this cashier that's checking me out wants something
yeah,
or you know what I mean? Like and that's on a small level. Like I'm talking like L-list
right.
celebrity, like all the way at the bottom. Like no
Yeah,
one knows who I am besides in this small pocket of the world, right?
yeah,
And even then, I'm like, yeah, it's cool in that environment, but I love more than that being able to go back and just go to the grocery store. No one bugs me. No
yeah,
one's taking pictures with me.
yeah,
Like I can just enjoy my life the way I want to live it.
yeah,
And I don't think, and, I have that small piece of that um, kind of thing. And I have some friends of mine are somewhat well known and things like that. And so like I see what they go through,
right,
and it's not they don't like it. It's that's
right,
the least favorite part of their life is the
right.
fact that they have to have tinted windows in their car and they have to watch over their shoulder and they have to make sure that they're wearing a hat and no one can see who they are. Like that's not a fun way to live life. Like it sounds cool and like you might like it for a day or two, but after that you're gonna get pretty annoyed. Like
Yeah,
I see why Kanye gets mad at the paparazzi all
yeah,
the time.
it's not really normal. It's not something that most people, because you know what it is too. I think it's because people equate success with celebrity. Okay,
Hmm.
you're famous, you know, you, but you must be, and then it's like, oh, what's wrong with you? Look at what's going on with Shannon Sharp right now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I mean, talk about an epic. I mean, this could get really bad for this because you were literally famous. And I don't say like he was. I mean, he was known as an athlete, but he wasn't this type. You know what I'm saying? Where he is
Right.
now, and it's like for some, you know what? You know what I'm saying? Look, I mean, you apparently he just lost $100 million podcast deal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Obviously, ESPN has to quote unquote step away, but I think they're pretty much done.
Right.
Because I think they're just because it's Disney doesn't want to be associated. Disney doesn't want to be associated. With all those text messages they put on the internet, like it doesn't look it doesn't look good for now I don't cancel because I mean the internet is what it is. I think because we live in a 24-hour news cycle, people forget about it. They'll forget about it and be on something else.
Absolutely.
So in terms of the internet, I think you'll be fine because people just always something else going. People forget about it. Look, man, I went to school with Casey. Casey Anthony was a friend of mine.
Mm.
There was a time where she was the most hated woman in America, if not on the planet. I mean, I remember it. I remember that she was.
I remember that name. That name is
Yeah,
like burned into my
yeah.
brain.
So she's from Orlando. But like we had a lot of people that she was mentioning on that. I know these people personally. But like she was,
Right.
we weren't close friends, but we knew each other, right?
Right.
So and somehow she's been able to kind of live a low profile down the south. But it's interesting because at one point in time, she was the most infamous woman on the planet for about a good
Yeah.
year and a half. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But some people don't remember that. It's like 15 years ago now,
Right.
14, 15 years ago. I mean, but so she's kind of been able to, I'm sure, kind of rebuild or something. But you're so right that that you don't do care too much. But
Yeah.
going
For
back to
sure.
what you marketing, uh, I so let's dive a little bit deeper into some. You know how to give away to me, Taylor, what you get paid to do, but what are some of the basics um, of email marketing that you think that think that not only artists but people in general who have more businesses should be focused on, especially when it comes to like ad copy, things like that.
Yeah, so some of the basics that people should know about email, regardless of what you do for business or in general, if it's a personal brand or music or podcast, you have a book, whatever it may be, the most important thing is to know that email is your opportunity to not be a billboard, which sounds really weird, right? But like imagine for a moment, like you're on social media, you see ads. Most of the time, we don't like them. I know for sure when I used to watch TV before you could skip ahead, watching ads was like the worst part of my experience, right? And then eventually you could fast forward through them, and then we got the social media, and then we got ads on social media, and now there's ads everywhere all the time. And so all you're doing is seeing ads. And so if you want to be different with email specifically, then you definitely want to have more of a conversation with your email list than trying to sell them stuff or whatever, right? And so, for artists, for example, like music artists, what we used to do is just kind of drop some thoughts, behind the scenes type content, maybe a blog post or something, and just kind of share like what's actually going on, what's happening. And then for anyone else, like just sharing like value, like if you're if you love to cook and your audience wants to learn how to cook, then share with them tips and tricks and tools and different hacks, or you saw something at Trader Joe's or Costco or Publix or wherever, right? Like whatever it is, like just like be helpful. What you really want to do with your email list is like create a space where people want to read your emails and they start looking for them. And the best way to do that is by helping them. Like you're not going to be looking for someone selling you something. I've never heard of anybody going and chasing down the guy knocking on all the doors and going, "Hey, you forgot my house. Please come back and sell me stuff," right? No one's ever done that, right? But we do, if someone's like mowing lawns and we need help with our lawn, we're like, "Hey, can you help me with my lawn?" And that's how that usually that relationship will happen. And so the first basic tip is just be conversational with them, be real, and share with them tips, tricks, be helpful for them. If you're an artist, give them some behind the scenes stuff, how you came up with something. Share with them some other music that you enjoy, right? Like, don't be afraid of promoting others. Is a big piece of that puzzle, I think. Um, other tips and tricks is be consistent. I know that's hard. I get it. But be as consistent as you can. If you're only going to send one email a week, then send it on the same day at the same time every week. It's doesn't need to be complicated, doesn't need to be hard, doesn't need to be long or salesy or promoting anything. Just send it regularly.
Okay. Talk to me about ad copy, right? The subject line. How important is that to get people to actually click? Like, talk to me.
It it's not as important now as it used to be.
Okay,
What's more important than the subject line is the from name,
okay,
right? And so what do I mean by that? Instead of just a cliche saying, if they don't know who you are and you're sending them an email, then that subject line is really important. But if they know who you are, that subject line doesn't matter that much. So if they're expecting an email from Cole on Thursday at noon, then it doesn't matter what my subject line is because they're expecting me to send them an email, right? Especially if you're an artist or a business or a personal brand or whatever it may be. Like if you build a good relationship with them via your platforms or ads or YouTube content, Instagram content, TikTok content, email content, whatever, eventually that subject line doesn't really matter that much. And so the one tip I'll give you for subject lines is that it needs to be either 8 words or less, because anything longer than that, you won't see it anyways. So you really want to optimize for 8 words or less in a subject line. You don't want to do all capital letters for any of the words in there either. And you want to just really make it curious or a question or something like that. That tends to work well. But yeah, I mean, overall, the relationship matters more than the subject line does, especially in today's day and age.
And it's about the connection, right? If we relate it back to music, right? Like, okay, music, even though, and I hate to say it because I don't think music has never not been has never been free, but we kind of living in a day and age now where people think music is free, and it really isn't free. It costs a lot of money to make music. It should not be free. It should not be free. And at one point, but I think when it comes to um, when it comes, I lost my train. I knew I was going with this. I lost my train. When it comes to music, the way it is. Oh, I know I was going. The people invest in you because of the relationship. And that's the
Yeah,
only reason why people want to connect. Because you've taken the time to build that relationship, build that connection, right? And that's part of what I talk about in my framework, right? It's about building that connection with somebody because people, you got one of the things I talk about is the brand positioning statement, right?
yeah,
So that's the community that you want to serve, who you
hmm
are, watch somebody care. You know
absolutely,
what I'm saying? Okay,
100%.
you do music, watch somebody care that you.
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
what problems do you solve
Yeah.
for them to keep coming back to you?
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. Yeah, we use a formula for that. I help X get Y by using Z.
Okay.
So I help artists get more fans using my artist management marketing framework,
Right.
or I help dentists get more patients through our, strategic Facebook ads,
Yeah.
stuff. You know what I mean? Like I help X get Y with Z.
I love that. I'm
Um,
gonna start using
and
it. I love that.
yeah, it's a really simple, easy framework. It's in the marketing world, and it works for music artists too. I know it sounds weird, but like, so the artist I was talking about, Torian, that we grew from 3,000 listeners to 300,000, right? We did the $5 a day ads, but before that, we released a bunch of songs, figured out what style, what vibe, what tempos, what people really liked. And before we did all that, we had like a movement that we were creating, and we called it Vibe Tribe, and it was basically all about like promoting positivity, um, kind of thing. And there's a whole story. Torian got in a really bad car accident, was paralyzed, thought he'd never walk again. And so he quit drinking, got sober, decided, before that he was a mumble rapper. He went on when he was a teenager, he went on tour with like Twista. He was in the studio when Kanye was producing Do or Die. Like, he was all in that world and then left that world and decided he wanted to make positive music and went in this positive direction. And so basically our whole motto was like, we help anybody, but especially single mothers, find their worth and their value in this world again through our music. And that was kind of like what we lived by and how all of our decisions got made as far as what shows we're going to do, how we're going to promote it, how do we design the merch, what kind of songs are we going to put on the EPs.
It's so important because that goes down to your brand, your competitive advantage. Like everything you're doing at that point is intentional. So, and
Yeah,
it's so
yeah,
important for artists to be thinking about it. Like everything you do should be. And so many
absolutely.
artists don't think about that type of stuff, but it doesn't give you the roadmap. If you understand your brand position, it doesn't it kind of gives you the cheat code because you
Yeah,
know what you know everything you're doing and why you're doing it. You're not just guessing. You're not guessing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you can put a brand positioning statement on any artist that's out there today doing well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You really can.
Yeah.
And uh, and that stuff works, right? Like, for anybody. And there's always pockets, there's sub pockets too, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's all the pockets out there of like all the different artists. Like, we knew like NF was like a really big upcoming artist at the time when we were getting started. And we're like, all right, he's got like the whole kind of sad boy, life sucks kind of realm here. Oh, it's like, all right, like, so what's like a different spin on that? And then what's an audience no one's really talking about and they're consuming other people's stuff because it's all they got.
Right.
Or like it's definitely single moms are consuming like Nicki Minaj
Yeah.
and all that type of stuff and we're like, or Logic or whatever. It's like, well, man, no one's really like making music for them.
Yeah.
Like let's try that. And it worked for us. And that doesn't mean it'll work for someone else. It
Yeah.
just it happened to work for us.
Yeah.
And so yeah, finding a pocket and then finding another pocket, it allows us like because we'd go in the studio, right? And we'd make four, five, six songs in a day, sometimes more depending on where we're at with everything. And we can't release all that music. And so how do you decide like, well, this one's better, this one's like nobody knows what song's better or not better. Like none of us are Charlie Puth or Ed Sheeran. Like we don't know what a hit record sounds like, you know what I mean? Like we just don't get it like they do. And so we needed a guiding compass, and that guiding compass was, does this song serve this message? And if it wasn't a definite yes, then we'd shelve it and we'd reuse the beat or we'd rework a verse or change a hook or something. But it allowed us to create freely and then decide later, which allowed the process to be faster and more efficient. So
That,
you produce more music.
I love it. No, that's a gem right there. That's a gem because rap position allows you to know, does this fit what our message is?
Yeah,
Wow. I mean, that is man, that just gave me goosebumps. I think that's the key of being building super fans because you're only serving a particular audience. And that's way easier to do than trying to serve a wide variety of people, right? Like
yeah,
if you just know who your audience is and know what they want, it's way easier to know what's going to work,
absolutely.
what's not going to work. You know, so
Yeah.
I love that.
And making music that you like too. I
Yeah,
think, we enjoyed our music. Like we were kind of tired of the mumble rap and
yeah,
and stuff like that. And I was looking for more conscious stuff. He was looking for more conscious stuff. So it just kind of made a lot of sense. It was like, all right, we want to listen to this stuff. We want to empower people. And we created it. I mean, it ended up being like a full-fledged movement. Like we got like maybe 100 or 200 people that have tattoos. So like our positive vibes tattoo kind of thing. So we'd send them the file if they wanted it. So people would get their tattoos like here or they'd get it wherever,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so we got people with tattoos. We got people that bought every piece of merch we've ever released.
right,
Like it's because of like we believed in the message and we weren't willing to stray away from the message. Even when if we jumped on and did a feature with somebody, like our feature was going to be calling back to what our brand is.
yeah,
Even if the main artist didn't speak 100% to where we were at, we'd find a way to be able to get it into our realm.
yeah,
And so, yeah, I mean, it's a guiding compass and it
yeah,
helps you tremendously. And as time goes on, you evolve, you change, you grow,
yeah,
and so will the music, right? And so
yeah,
will your fans. Like J.
yeah.
Cole's music back in the day, it's not the same as J. Cole's music today.
Nah,
That's because he's evolved, he's grown, so has his audience. His
right,
audience isn't 20-year-old frat kids anymore.
right,
Now it's 35-year-old frat kids.
right.
You know what I mean? Like that just never grew out of it.
Right, yeah, with families, with different things, right? So,
Yeah.
exactly. So man, that is so key because I think if artists thought like that, would they would understand you don't have to chase stuff that's fleeting because you're grounded in your message, right? Take somebody like a Lecrae, for instance, right? For really when he was heavy, I think he's kind of I don't know if he's putting out as much music nowadays, but I mean, there was a time where Lecrae was, you know, he was able to kind of go mainstream for a while, but he never lost who he really was. So yeah, he'll because for some reason, especially in that world, oh my gosh, he's doing a record with David Banner. He's doing like no. At the end of the day, Lecrae always said, "I'm not a Christian rapper. I'm just a rapper who's a Christian."
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
Absolutely.
like so it doesn't box me in. Because the truth of the matter is, you know, a lot of Christian rap back then they used to be corny and trash, bro. Like
Oh,
it
absolutely.
used
Yeah.
to be corny and well, back in when yeah. So it's like yo, but you wouldn't even want to listen to because like yo, they would kind of get they would kind of get in the word. Oh, we're doing it for God. So like nah, it's still gotta be good. If
Yeah.
it's still
Like, good
gotta be
music is good music.
it's
Yeah.
still gotta be good. So I think
Yeah.
when he started doing records with more mainstream acts I think he realized, and he's doing, he realized that it's just about your message doesn't have to change because you're doing a record with a second artist if you want to be
Yeah.
in that world, right? You can still do what you want and still make the message. It's like I say, like you don't have to be in churches all day to get your message across to people. You know, doesn't mean you have to go in the club and be drinking out, but you don't have to not feel like you can go and fellowship with these people just because you may have a different worldview.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
100%.
So, yeah. So
Yeah, 100%. And truthfully, like it's easier to think that you can write music that you think people will listen to than it is to write music that actually comes from the soul and the heart.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? And it doesn't, the stuff that's more authentic, and I know like the mainstream stuff today, like doesn't, it may not seem like there's 200 writers that are getting credits on that record
exactly.
and everything else, but like some of the best records that are out there, and the writers will tell you, and the artists will tell you, some of the best records that are out there are records that are written in 15 minutes,
Yeah,
10 minutes. And there's no team of writers, they'll go through and edit it after or whatever to clean it
yeah,
up so it sounds better. But at the
right,
end of the day, like that stuff, like you can't force a record in 15 minutes.
right. You can't,
You know what I
right,
mean? Like you feel it or you don't. And
right,
if you're feeling it, that means it's in your lane, it's in your pocket. It's probably most likely who you really are, what you're really experiencing,
right.
and what you're willing to share, kind of thing. But it's the records you got to think through for 4 hours to get on papers. That's where you're trying to be somebody you're not most of the time. Um, is what I've found. That doesn't mean that's always true. Um, kind of thing. But especially when you're brand new to writing music, it takes me 3 hours to get a verse and a hook down um, these days. But I know when I'm trying to say stuff that I wouldn't normally say versus saying stuff that I would
Yeah.
in a way that's poetic or the vibe of the record that we're creating or whatever. And so yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting world to play in.
Definitely,
Um,
definitely,
and
it's not as easy as people think it is. Like I think because people think because music, like I said earlier, has become much more of a hustle these days than it actually being a craft,
Oh,
right?
100%.
Of songwriting
Yeah.
because everything is cookie cutter, everything is
Yeah.
microwave, right? So you used in the pop world, like if you went to certain songs, you went to Max Martin because Max Martin, you wanted a hit record in the pop scene. Max
Mhm.
Martin was going to give you that record.
Mhm.
Now people don't care so much about a well crafted. I mean, it's coming back, but for a long time it was like people didn't care about a well crafted record. It was about, but
Yeah.
nowadays in the Spotify streaming world, the key number is 31 seconds.
Yep.
But that's when you get paid after a stream is 31 seconds.
Mhm.
So now songs are starting off with the hook and
Absolutely, they are.
are a minute 50 seconds. So they figure, and especially the Gen Z, Gen Alpha generation, they know if type of time it would take you to listen to a 3.5 minute record, which is normal from the
Right.
Gen X, millennial,
Yep.
early Gen Z era,
Yep.
right? So this is pretty much anybody born before 1997,
Yep.
right? They like 3.5 minute record was the standard record,
Yeah.
but the 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 younger Gen Z going into the Gen Alpha, which is basically Gen Alpha is like the middle schoolers. So
Hmm.
the middle schoolers going in, you know, the middle schoolers are like the Gen Alpha, right? So their era is completely different. So they don't care about, they don't want to listen to a long record. Straight
Right.
fast, straight fast to the
Yep.
point.
Yep. They don't listen to music like, like back, on vinyl, like you don't skip ahead to the song. You know what I mean? Like you listen to the album.
Yeah,
And then on iTunes, back in the day or whatever, you'd get like, or you used to go buy the whole CD,
yeah,
right? And then some, and you could buy singles and stuff, but like you'd buy the whole CD. And a lot of times I would wait for the deluxe to come out, so that way I had all of it.
yeah,
And then I'd load that into iTunes and I'd listen to the whole thing through. And then streaming started coming along.
yeah,
And like I'm an like I love Apple Music. I do Apple Music instead of Spotify. There's nothing against Spotify. I love Spotify, but for me, I like listening to albums, and Spotify is definitely set up for you to cycle through songs. And that's just not how I like to listen to music. I like to listen to full albums. I enjoy that. I'll listen to an artist's new album, old album. That's how I prefer to consume it. But yeah, I mean, we're in a TikTok, Instagram world where
Yeah,
that's where most music is being found
yeah, yeah,
these days.
yeah.
And so it's hard not to think while you're in the studio or whatever, when you're making music, you're like, oh, this little 10-second snippet is going to be the TikTok viral sensation.
It's just
Because
part
a
of
lot
it.
of people are writing for that now.
Yeah, it's just part of it. Because you should be thinking about when you're making records. If you're thinking about it from a business perspective, you
Yeah.
should be thinking about marketing and branding, right? You should be thinking about what is the message that I'm going to how am I going to market and promote this? How am I going to brand this? So the smart artists think about that stuff even when they're creating. They're not waiting to the end. Okay, let's figure out a marketing plan. That's all done now. Like no, they're in the process of action while they're creating it to they're thinking about the process then, especially because you can't do music today without a content stream.
Yeah.
You
No,
can't.
it's tough.
you
It's
know.
tough for sure.
So yeah, man. Oh man, well, we could be here for hours, man. We could do this has been such a great conversation. But before we get out of here, man, how can the people find you? How can they connect to you?
Yeah, I'm on social media, at Cole Vandy, Vandee. You can find me everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. Um, yeah, love to connect with you guys there. And I appreciate you having me on the show, man. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad we
Hey
got
man.
to
Oh,
have the convo.
like I said, it's been a great conversation, man. And definitely want to stay in touch for sure. And like I said, I think there's a lot of power still in email.
Absolutely.
Again, like anything else, if you know how to use it properly, it
Mhm.
can work. You know what I'm saying? Something I definitely need to employ because I haven't ever really employed it. To be honest with you.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
something that I think it's still valuable because, like you said, it allows you to own those conversations, own the relationships that you build. Because we saw what happened when Instagram and WhatsApp and all went down. People went crazy. You don't know who the people are. If those platforms go down, but you have to put them, you have to bring them over to a platform that's your own, which is your email list,
Absolutely.
and your website. So, guys, it's been another great episode of the Encourage and Inspire podcast. And until next time, it's your host, Jerome Pitt. I'm out of here.